The Basement Dwellers podcast is brought to you by Player One Coffee.
At Player One Coffee, we're obsessed with gaming, coffee, and, well, gaming. Every one of our signature roasts is handcrafted and tasty as Get yours at playeronecoffee.com.
Plus, order your Player One Coffee through our affiliate link, and not only will you receive 5% off of your first order, you'll also help support our show in the process.
Press start to continue.
They are those who live in the shadows, who feed upon Doritos and Mountain Dew. They take comfort in their dark habitats as they watch reruns of sci-fi shows long past. They are the Basement Dwellers.
Show me what you got.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Indeed.
Yes. This is a fertile land and we will thrive. We will rule over all this land and we will call it this land.
Make it so.
Join me. Together, we can rule the galaxy far from sun. I want to believe.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Basement Dwellers, a bi-weekly podcast dedicated to all activities most enjoyed by those who spend their time in the deepest, darkest, and dankest of basements everywhere. I'm your host, Wes Tanner, and tonight we are talking about some of the seemingly most hated additions to the Star Wars franchise, the prequels. But before all that, we're going to hit up some nerdy news, followed by a special segment that Drew, Captain Diabito himself, has put together for us. I'm joined as always by my fellow basement dwellers, Nick and Drew, and I guess that's it for tonight. So, what's up, guys?
Not much.
What's up? Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, you like that?
Fantastic.
Well, did I ever show you guys the picture of the diabetic superheroes where it's like Captain Glucose and
No.
oh, I swear to God, I'll have to find it and send it to you guys.
That's really
It's
funny.
so stupid.
That's perfect. Oh man. So we were sitting here, I don't know, for a good 15 minutes trying to wait to see who would show up, and we were talking about board games. Nick, what was the one you were talking about with I mean, you were talking about a couple of them, I guess, but
Yeah. So Potion Explosion is one that I picked up, I think, last year. And what's really funny is it's made by Simon, or Cool Mini or Not, who's a company that's made for like making miniatures, and they put out like amazing miniatures. But this game, it's marbles.
marbles.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
It's a lot of fun, actually.
like I don't know anything about this, but what? Well, I guess I've heard you talk about it before. Is it kind of like, oh God, I don't even know the name of this one. The one game we played where it was like you're all different wizards and you have to put together a spell. You know what I'm talking about?
Epic Spell Wars,
Epic Spell Wars
or the Battle Wizards.
yeah.
No, it's almost nothing like that.
Oh, okay.
Is it the one with the goblets, or is that a different one too?
That's the same company. That's Razor Goblets, but no, that's a different one.
Okay, so
You know what?
we're gonna
Same company though.
we're gonna
Yep,
quit. We're
same
gonna quit
company.
guessing and listen to you tell us about it then. So,
Yeah, it's the same company, but no, different game. This one is you have a track, and it's got marbles that slide down. That it was actually a lot of fun to build it, but you have like a little alchemy lab in front of you. It's like your desk, and you're trying to create these different potions with these different ingredients, which are the marbles, and they're different colored marbles. And then you pull one off at the track, and then when two of them click together, that causes an explosion. And then you keep going, until you can't cause any more explosions. And you can chain those together and complete more and more of your potions that are like these little cardboard cutouts. And then once you complete them, you can drink them and use their effect. It's a lot of fun. I mean, myself and my roommate and like two of my friends, we played the shit out of that game. So
That does sound fun.
Yeah, Potion Explosion by Cool Mini or Not.
Okay.
Check it out.
And then you were talking about some Star Wars games that I guess one of them's really old and the other ones just came out.
Oh, Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yep, that's the theme of tonight's show. So
good.
Yeah. Tell us about Queen's Gambit. That's the one. Queen's Gambit.
The $600 eBay game.
Yeah,
it's like fucking $600. It came out like right after Phantom Menace came out.
So that's only 20 years ago, roughly.
We just looked it up. That came out in 1999, and that doesn't seem right, but it is.
Yeah, it's insane. But like, check out that game. It looks really solid. I mean, you got like this 3D, not 3D, but like multi-storied layers to it when you're in the castle on Naboo. Like, you got that portion of it where you're storming the castle. There's that scene with the pit when you're fighting against Darth Maul. All of those things are happening simultaneously. You got the battle against the androids, and you got these really cool miniatures. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it beyond that, but man,
you shared it today, and I just saw the price on it, and I was like,
I know.
You're like, nope.
I want it so bad, but for $600, I don't.
And and for those listening, that's not like the list price. That's what it has grown to, because you can't find it like anymore, right? Except for the people who are selling it for $600.
I've scoured the internet trying to find it like for cheaper than that, and it's insane.
Now, there's some mom or grandma out there who's having a yard sale for their kid or grandkid who doesn't know anything about it, who's going to sell it for $10. So
I will have a fucking heart attack.
That's the same yard sale with the rookie Michael Jordan card and the signed Wayne Gretzky jersey.
Yeah,
they're worth like $1 million. Like, that was $20.
I'll take a nickel.
Now it's time to see what's up in the world of nerdy news.
All right, first up, via Kotaku, former world record Donkey Kong score is now in dispute. A prominent Donkey Kong forum has removed some scores supposedly earned by legendary arcade game player Billy Mitchell after evidence that there was possible foul play. Mitchell's scores, which had set the world records in Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., had been recognized by the forum for 8 years. On July 31st, 2010, Mitchell recorded world record scores for both Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. after a session at Boomer's Arcade in Dania, Florida. Or Dania, I don't know how to say it, whatever. Florida, in Florida. He supposedly logged a score of 1,062,800 points in Donkey Kong and 270,900 points in Donkey Kong Jr. Last week, a dispute over Mitchell's scores came to a boil on the forums for Twin Galaxies, an organization that tracks world records and where Mitchell long ago served as a referee. On the forum, poster Jeremy Zalnia is his handle. Young accused Mitchell of using multiple arcade machine emulator, or MAME, to record his scores instead of an arcade cabinet. Young announced that he was removing Mitchell's scores from the Donkey Kong Forum, a long-standing community site dedicated to the arcade games. This is a quote, short of live, time-stamped complete footage, including full views of cab hardware of the games in question, I will not be reinstating any of Billy's scores in question. Young said. If this community and others like it are built on the idea of friendship through competition, camaraderie through our shared pains, and pushing ourselves, our friends, and these games to their limits, then we must strive for honesty and legitimacy. That's kind of a it's funny how serious they're taking it, but at the same time I get it, because
it's kind of a dick move.
It really is, yeah.
Well, yeah. You know, and the Billy Mitchell, I've heard his name before, and I think don't quote me on this, I think there's a documentary on Netflix that talks about him.
It's King of Kong.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him, isn't it? Then
I don't know if it's him, but that's the documentary that's on there. And it's all about all of that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing his name before, but I'm pretty sure those two go hand in hand. But I guess from what this, I was trying to decipher what they were talking about, but it looks like what he did was he recorded his score digitally on something else other than the arcade game itself, which is why people are like, well, there's the potential for him to cheat, so it doesn't count, which kind of sucks, but you know, I get it. Moving on to some fantasy news via Collider. Conan the Barbarian TV series could be what is best in life. I'm really excited about this. Robert E. Howard's creation of Conan the Barbarian, a sword and sorcery fantasy icon, is about to get new life long after the author's untimely death. The Conan series project has Colony co-creator Ryan Condal, Game of Thrones director Miguel Sapochnik, and Fargo and The Handmaid's Tale executive producer Warren Littlefield on board, along with Pathfinder Media and Endeavor Content. Condal serves as the series creator/writer/EP, whatever that stands for, while Sapochnik...
Executive producer.
Thank you. While Sapochnik, or Sapochnik, I don't know, it's a Russian name it looks like, while Sapochnik directs, and also executive produces alongside Littlefield. That's a lot of talent behind the scenes, but Conan projects have attempted to find purchase in recent years without success. So what's different about it this time? Condal's Conan aims to retell the classic story by returning to Howard's literary origins. Jesus. This treatment finds the title character driven out of his tribal homelands and forced to wander a dangerous world while searching for purpose in a land that sees him as nothing more than a mindless savage. Both fans of the source material, Condal and Sapochnik, hope to get back to Conan's roots in the pages of Weird Tales for an adaptation that's faithful to the 1930s character. That's quite a throwback. That sort of world-wandering fantasy epic falls right in line with Amazon's push into the genre as they are looking to ape the success of Game of Thrones with both Conan, and I guess here's some more news, and a massive bet on a Lord of the Rings TV show adaptation. That is exciting on both fronts.
Guys, it can't be that good. I mean, Mario did beat Conan and all
that's true. What did you guys think of the Conan with
Jason Momoa?
Jason Momoa.
You know, I was so excited for that to come out because I had seen the 80s. They were the 80s movies, right? They're in the 80s.
Yeah.
I had seen the 80s movies a long time ago before I knew anything about Conan. Before I had read anything about Conan. Conan's actually one of the few things that I've read in my entire life, so or as an adult.
See, that's something that I'm kind of in the dark on. I don't really know a whole lot about Conan. So.
My Conan knowledge all comes from Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. So
yeah,
I really don't know a whole lot about it.
Well, those movies are pretty faithful to the way his character was, though they kind of only showed his brute strength and none of his actual heightened intelligence, which he's not. Yeah, he was actually a pretty smart fucking dude. But to preface this a little bit, I can read. I just
as long as the books have pictures, right?
No. I have a hard.
No. As long as the words only have 2 syllables, we're okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have a hard time reading like long books and long chapters because I end up rereading the same couple pages over and over again and then forgetting what I read and having to go back. So that's what keeps me from doing it. But the nice thing about the original Conan stories, and I have never heard of the one that they're talking about, Weird Tales, but the original Conan stories that I've read are all short stories, and they're all kind of all over the place as far as where they take place and whatnot. But they're short stories, so it's really worth getting into. But from as far as this series is concerned, it looks like they're going to more source material, which I hope means that they're not going to try and like embellish too much out of it, because they got a series to work with and not a movie. And I think that's the better route to go if you're going to handle franchises that have a big history like that, you know? I don't know, man.
I don't disagree.
I think the way of movies is going to, you know, go away after a while, because, you know, Hollywood's not making money these days. So.
More things are moving to things like movies included are moving to like Amazon and Netflix more and more too.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not like little movies or shows. They're like big deal things that people are actually going out of their way to watch. So
like Bright
like,
was the
just look at like Stranger Things. Like you know, you're saying Weird Tales. I'm pretty sure that's a comic book from like the 30s and 40s.
That makes sense. Like obviously we can't show you the picture on the podcast, but the picture looked like one of those like tucked in the back of a sci-fi magazine. Like
it was.
title.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was like a collection of weird stories and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it was a comic from back in the golden age.
Well, we'll look it up later, but yeah, I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to see what they do with a Lord of the Rings show. Anything fantasy that they're coming out with, man. You know, I think Game of Thrones really, spawned a lot of really good, a lot of interest in fantasy amongst people who don't normally like fantasy stuff.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One I'd really like to see come to life would be the Dark Elf trilogy. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see.
Okay.
As a series, maybe not a movie adaptation, but definitely a series adaptation.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't want to see movies. I want to watch shows. I want more. I want the story to not
get more substance in a TV show or a series.
They can develop characters better, and I don't know.
Absolutely.
They're not just looking to get their money back with a one-time release type deal. So,
all right, you don't get railroaded into a direction either. You can branch it.
And I find myself often like hanging at the edge of my seat when I'm watching a series, like especially the finale of a season that I'm really into. I'm like, what's gonna happen?
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Next up, in crazy casting news via Bloody Disgusting, Joaquin Phoenix is in talks to play the Joker in a new standalone film. Todd Phillips, who directed pretty sure he directed The Hangover, is working on a standalone origin story for the Joker, and huge news from the site Variety indicates that Phillips may have found his clown prince of crime in none other than Joaquin Phoenix. The site notes that studio negotiations are not yet underway, but that Phillips has made it clear that Phoenix is top choice to star. Additionally, sources tell Variety that Phoenix has agreed to the role in the untitled film. Scott Silver is co-writing the movie with Phillips, which will, quote, fall under a yet-to-be-announced new banner of DC Comics, giving the studio the opportunity to expand the canon of the iconic comic book universe, or comic book characters with unique story angles that aren't included in its current cinematic universe. God, that was a lot of words. Speaking of reading, Jesus. The film is said to, quote again, delve into what it took for the Joker to become a mastermind criminal. Sources say that the story will take place in the 80s and have more of a look of a gritty crime drama than a comic book movie. And as a side note here, Jared Leto is still expected to play the Joker in Suicide Squad 2. Nobody cares. And a Harley Quinn spinoff. Nobody cares. But Phillips' film will not be connected to that version of the character at all. So I guess that's good. So what's your take on Joaquin Phoenix for Joker?
Know.
I like Joaquin Phoenix.
I do too.
So do I.
And I think he can pull off a really creepy look too. I think he could do it.
Well, he was in Gladiator as the Emperor, which he was fucking a devious motherfucker in that. So
yeah,
he's obviously got the chops to play a bad guy.
Yep.
And
I just wonder how well he can pull off crazy. I'm trying to think of what other movies he's been in that he, you know what I mean?
What was that? Was it Her?
That was a pretty good one.
Oh,
where he
falls in love with the AI?
Yeah.
Or the
ScarJo.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not necessarily crazy, but it's got, he's got some range.
That's No,
it's pretty
like
crazy.
Maniacally crazy, like the Joker. Like
I like him as an actor. I just don't know about him as the Joker.
See, I am so sick of the trend of bashing actors that you normally would not think of to play certain things. But I think Joaquin Phoenix, depending on what they choose to do with him, I think he would be pretty good with it. Like I said, it depends on if he can nail a good laugh,
I'm gonna reserve judgment because a lot of people, got their pitchforks out when Heath Ledger did it. But we saw how that turned out. Yeah, and that was amazing. I don't know. I've been wanting to see an actor like Willem Dafoe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe doesn't even need makeup to play the Joker.
No, he was an amazing Joker.
It's like when they cast him as Green Goblin in Spider-Man, like the first couple. He was good as that too.
Yeah, I'll reserve judgment until I see.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be good.
If he shows up with stupid fucking tattoos all over his body, I'll probably be pretty upset about it.
If a story comes out of him giving his co-stars dead rats and used condoms.
Yeah. I don't know. I like him as an actor, so.
Yeah, I hear ya. So, on to some Star Wars related news. More in the good news Star Wars category via Inverse, Game of Thrones creators to write and produce new Star Wars series of films. Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are going to write and produce a new series of Star Wars films, Disney announced on Tuesday, whenever that was. I forgot to grab the date, but oh well. This new series will be separate from the main episodic Skywalker saga that started with Star Wars A New Hope and is slated to wrap up with 2019 Star Wars Episode 9. It will also exist independently from Rian Johnson-helmed series that was from the Rian Johnson-helmed series that was announced last year. So this is an entirely new trilogy aside from everything else that
I'm totally okay with that.
Yep. David and Dan are some of the best storytellers working today. That was a quote by Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm. In a statement, she says, their command of complex characters, depth of story, and richness of mythology will break new ground and boldly push Star Wars in ways I find incredibly exciting. Me too. It also comes at a time of transition for Benioff and Weiss. Game of Thrones, their sprawling fantasy epic, will end its run on HBO in 2019. Disney did not give a timeline for when these new Benioff and Weiss penned films will hit theaters. On an earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Iger said that the two men had approached the studio with an idea a while ago. Even though the duo made their name in television, Iger said that they were not interested in doing something on the small screen, so they wanted to do movies instead of a TV show, which that's probably the only disappointing thing about that I can find. So, yeah. I there's really not a whole lot to go on to even really comment further on this, except for the fact that I'm really excited to see people who have produced the caliber show of Game of Thrones to be writing for Star Wars. I mean, that just...
There's just going to be a lot of dick in it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be so much dick slinging going on now.
You know, can you imagine an R-rated Star Wars? I mean, I'm pretty sure you can, but like...
I can, but it's not good. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It would be really weird.
Like, I think an R-rated Star Wars would be because of violence over profanity and
perversion,
nudity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
So I would be down with that. even though cutting people in half with lightsabers is pretty decent violence for PG-13 or PG. Yeah. So yeah.
The only fear that I have for that would be, because it's going to be a separate entity from everything else, is that people are going to be like, where's all the Jedi? Where's Luke? Where's Vader? You know, and they're going to be like so attached to the original films that they're not going to be able to kind of grasp the idea that there's other things going on out there other than like that little realm. So that, I don't know, that's my fear.
I think it'd be cool if they could take it and do like they do with Rebels, where those characters kind of like might pop in for a hot second, but they're not the focus of the show or the movie or whatever.
Right.
Like just enough to establish that it's the same universe.
Yeah.
Well,
which the
Rian Johnson one, we talked about this previously before. The Rian Johnson films, he wanted specifically to move away from the Skywalker stuff and everything like that. So we're probably going to see that before. Maybe I don't know if we'll see that before these guys' films or what, or if they'll be kind of like, you know, piggybacking off of each other year after year, which they might. But anything in the expanded universe that, you know, because I think what I'm thinking is a lot of their reasoning for doing this is one, creative control. They can pretty much run wild and introduce a whole bunch of new concepts and characters and races, and you know, because they don't have they don't have to go by anything that's been already done if that's their specific purpose is to not do that. And two, I think all these creators are getting really tired of people and fanboys in particular bitching about, oh, this isn't how it was in this one obscure random book that I read, or you know, and so I think they're wanting to basically reinvent the wheel a little bit, but in the Star Wars name, which I'm okay with. I'm interested to see what they do.
I'm okay with that
100% okay with that.
So.
But what I was saying was that I think like fans and just the general public aren't going to see that vision. I think they're gonna.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like not get it. So I'm on board with it. Like I'm hip and cool for like something different. So like,
yeah,
something new. I think it needs something fresh and different.
You just used like a shit ton of like early 90s slang.
Fresh and hip. And cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi guys.
Hi Ethan.
Hey.
Hi Ethan.
Hey, welcome to the show, man.
We just learned that Nick is hip and cool.
Yeah, and fresh.
Nick is hip and cool.
He's hip and
excellent. Cool. Somebody needs to be.
Ethan remembers those terms. Oh God. So you're just in time for our last piece of nerdy news here, and I guess this is a good one to bring other people in on. Lastly, and not a news story, but still news, Solo, a Star Wars story trailer has debuted. What are your thoughts?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Fucking Donald Glover.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
I have such a boner for that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, his Lando looks impressive.
I know.
And you know he loves the fact that he's Lando too. You know it. So
you're goddamn right he does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna rock the fuck out.
How could you not?
Yeah.
But let's talk
I hope.
What the hell is that noise?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm standing next to my 3D printer. I need to move.
Yeah. You think?
That's pretty cool, though.
Hey, shut up.
So, what do you guys think?
talk
What do you think about the guy playing Solo Han? As we just talked about, not.
Let's not shit on new things, guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. See, I don't. There's just something about his face.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's more like Benicio del Toro than he does Han Solo.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about your face, but rearrange it.
no.
I just want to smush it up a little thinner and punch it.
No,
Is there anything I can change? Can you change your face?
No, like I don't know.
His
like it just seems
mannerisms are off too.
Yeah, you know who
Yeah.
one of the guys that was in talk to play him was Miles Teller. Do you guys know who that is?
No.
Nope.
I wouldn't say he has the looks for it per se, but his mannerisms were probably more in line with what I imagined a younger Han having. But this guy, I don't really know anything about, so I can't really judge other than my comment about his face. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Really bad that we were just being like so progressive about new Star Wars, and then it's like Han Solo, and we're like,
the rest of the preview looked really interesting. Like, the locations, the special effects, the story. I don't know. It looked like it was going to be really cool, but that guy,
see,
it's just not selling it.
See, here's the thing. But the whole movie is going to hinge on this dude. You know that.
Yeah.
So if he's not up to snuff, then
I mean, I can go and watch it strictly for Lando and Chewie, but
and
whatever the hell they did to the Falcon.
Oh, speaking of, that was going to be part of the news here, but
and Woody Harrelson's in it. So.
Oh yeah. But
that'd be good.
Ethan, are you talking about the way the different Falcon design?
Yeah.
Apparently, and I was going to include this in this, but I didn't think it was enough of a story. But they explained that, and they're actually the Millennium Falcon that they are using in this movie is actually based off of the very original concept design that led to the other one that was used in the original trilogy. So the guy who designed.
So are they trying to?
Well, my guess is
trying to say it's an unmodified Corellian Corvette. Is that?
Well, because presumably, like the Falcon has been beat to hell, so it would make sense for them to be replacing parts left and right to where it doesn't look the same anymore. But yeah, that's what I had just read was that this design, as far as like, I don't know, people were getting all pissy about it because like the fucking antenna dish was facing up instead of whatever direction it is. I don't know. See, this fucking fanboys, man. Like that shit's not important. But
it's fanboy bullshit.
You know who would have made a great Han?
Who?
This is just my opinion. Sebastian Stan.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Here's the deal, though.
Yeah, but
he looks like Mark Hamill.
That's true.
That's true. He could play Mark Hamill back in the original Star Wars trilogy. Like,
it's gonna be Tatooine Luke.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other actors would have done a better. I'm gonna reserve judgment.
I was gonna say we kind of have to like sit on our words now and kind of wait for the movie before we go.
Oh yeah,
that was bullshit.
We totally just contradicted ourselves.
I mean, like we were just like the most woke about Star Wars, and now we're just like, fuck this new bullshit. Fuck this new guy. This is horse shit.
We were Star woke.
Harrison Ford. We were Star woke.
Yeah.
Now we're Star sleep.
Yeah. 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. All right.
Aren't you glad I'm back?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we love listening to your 3D printer do whatever it's doing. What are you printing?
What are you printing?
Oh,
yeah.
shush. I am printing those little train card holders for Ticket to Ride.
Awesome.
Ah.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break here. And then when we get back, Captain Diabito has a segment prepared for us. So stay with us and we will be back momentarily.
Captain Diabito.
That's me.
Hey, you nerd. Have you subscribed to the show yet? Now you can find the Basement Dwellers podcast on the following platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and SoundCloud. Also, make sure to like our Facebook page where you can stay up to date on all the things. And now, back to the show.
Well, we're back. Hopefully your pumps are full and you're connected up because we're going to go on a sugar rush of Sean Bean information.
So what's this segment that you... I mean, I know, but I want you to introduce this segment.
I was sitting at home the other day doing diabetes things, and it's kind of like we were trying to come up with some ideas for segments, and I was like, you know what? We should do one about Sean Bean because you know what he does in like almost every movie he's in? He dies.
Diabetes?
No, well, I mean, that'd be the best movie. No, like die from it, then it's gonna be all sad. But no, it's Sean Bean has a reputation in his movies for dying, and so I decided to put together a little segment about Sean Bean and some of his most memorable deaths and some of that stuff. So
fantastic.
Yes.
Is there a theme song? I feel like we should have a theme song.
But yeah, big spoiler alert here for those of you who. I don't know. You should
so many spoilers. I mean,
you should expect this to happen, but
these movies are all old as shit, and if you haven't seen them,
I think the only not the only one, but I think the most relevant one that should be warned about is if you have not seen Game of Thrones, then
oh yeah.
Just assume that everybody dies.
Stop listening
in Game
an
of
hour
Thrones,
ago.
But yeah.
Spoiler alert.
So I think that's
stop listening before the spoiler alert.
I think that's the most relevant one that we're probably going to get to. So
because it's too fucking late for you now.
I probably I just gave it away if you were able to put two and two together. So anyway, go ahead, Drew.
All right. So to start it off, he was born in 1959 in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, England, United Kingdom. He made his acting debut in 1980.
Where he died.
He made his acting debut in 1985 in Romeo and Juliet at the Watermill Theatre in Newbury, England. He is better known for playing villainous roles until recently when he decided to distance himself from those kind of roles.
I wonder
his favorite
why.
death scene. His favorite death scene. Do we have any guesses? Favorite death scene?
Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Really?
His favorite death scene was Boromir in Fellowship of the Ring because, quote, you couldn't ask for a more heroic death.
Yeah, he redeemed himself with that one. His character.
Yes. A fun fact: he was almost Hank Pym in Ant-Man.
What?
Oh
Yes.
man, that would have been great.
That could have been awesome.
I wonder how his death would have been in that one.
Another fun fact: he's afraid of flying, so much so that he hiked 2+ miles in the mountains in full costume while shooting Fellowship of the Ring. He was saying, as he was hiking to sit, he would watch the other actors fly over him in a helicopter.
Wow.
On YouTube, there is a 6-minute video of nothing but Sean Bean death scenes.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Oh wait, hold on. Is it just his death scenes, or is it like the
scenes.
stuff leading up to it? Because
It is
6 minutes of
just death
film.
scenes.
6 minets of film is actually a really long time for just like what, you know what I mean? For like one
It's
scene
6
a
minutes
piece.
of death scenes. Yeah.
This is great.
Of all of his movies, he has died roughly 25 times with a death rate of roughly 32%, the highest among his peers.
Jesus Christ.
There are only 3 actors that have died more than him. Do you have any guesses on who they are?
I have no idea.
Can you give us a hint?
One of them just recently died in real life.
Oh, fuck. Are these really old guys?
No, one of them's not.
No.
So, number 1 is John Hurt.
Oh, that's right.
He died in 43 of his movie roles.
Holy crap.
Which is roughly 31% of his films. Bela Lugosi is number 2 with 36 roles.
An old one.
But he died for real in every film.
Yeah.
And he is actually tied with Sean for the highest percentage with 32 as well. And number 3 is Vincent Price. Who died 34 times, which is 28% of his roles.
Wow. Oh, man.
So, if you're curious, Kenny from South Park dies in 38% of the episodes he's in, and that is the highest. That is the highest one. Is 38%.
So if they ever cast a real life South Park live action movie, Sean Bean will be Kenny.
He has to be.
Yeah.
And he'll die at least 4 times in the movie. I
made a list. I started making a list of the ways that he died in his movies, and I got to 11 and stopped. So, he has been buried alive, thrown from a satellite dish, and then crushed for good measure, beheaded, shot with a gun, shot with arrows, drowned, hung, froze to death, quartered, shot through the neck with a grappling hook, and just in general falling to death.
Did you see The Island?
That is in here. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, wait. Okay, no, hold on. The one where he got quartered, was that Black Death?
Yes, it was. But yeah, no, it looked really interesting. So.
It's a good one. But yeah, he fucking dies. I think he makes it to the end of the movie. But
all right, now to wrap up this segment, I have compiled a list of 8 of Sean's greatest deaths. So these are in no particular order. There's
are these
8 of them here.
Your opinion?
These are my opinion.
Okay.
There are just 8 of them here that I picked that I thought were pretty great.
Okay.
So number 1 is a movie from 1990 called The Field. He is killed by being driven off of a cliff by a herd of cows.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Pretty awesome.
Number 2,
motherfucker,
is 1995's GoldenEye.
Okay, yeah.
He falls from a satellite dish and then is crushed by it while fighting with 007.
I remember that.
Number 3, Lord of the Rings.
Been a long time since I've seen that.
He goes down in a blaze of glory, protecting Merry and Pippin, eventually being shot with multiple arrows by the Urkai.
That's probably my favorite one.
That's pretty good.
It's a good one. Number 4, Equilibrium from 2010.
Yeah, I was just talking about
good movie.
He is shot in the face through a book of poetry by Christian Bale for the crime of having feelings.
Like you do.
It's a great movie.
Number 5, 2010's Black Death, where he is, as I previously mentioned, quartered.
That's a pretty.
It's horses.
Really fucking brutal scene.
It is graphic. It's messy.
Brutal.
If you didn't feel bad for him enough, this one, he really sells
that
it.
one. Yeah. Number 6, spoiler alert, is Game of Thrones, where he is beheaded. Number 7, 1992's Patriot Games. He is impaled on a spike, then for good measure, blown up in an explosion.
Jesus.
And number 8 is 2005's The Island, where he is shot through the neck with a spear gun and then hung with the spear gun's cord.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
What's The Island? Is that with Ewan McGregor?
Ewan McGregor and yeah.
It's like a futuristic one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where they're basically
Sci-Fi.
Oh yeah. Okay. I've seen that once.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so there's 2 movies I'm thinking of that he's in that I don't know if he dies in, but he is the bad guy. And I might
assume yes.
I might be confusing. Is he in the Nicolas Cage movie? What is it? American Treasure or
National Treasure?
National Treasure.
Yes, he is. He is the main bad guy.
Does he die?
He does not get killed, but he is arrested in the very end and sent to prison for basically ever by Harvey Keitel.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't die.
In which we can all assume he dies off screen.
Okay, and here's the other one.
He dies off screen in prison. You know it.
Here's the other one, which I think he may die in. I don't know if you guys will remember. Well, I'm sure you remember it, but the Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie, he's in that, or in that one, or the second one. I don't remember what they're called, Cradle of Life, or he's in one of them. And that seems like a movie that he would die in.
He is.
Anybody want to look that up real quick? So I feel like I'm trying to add to this list because I feel like he wasn't mentioned. Hold on, I'll look it up real quick.
Silent Hill. Don't forget Silent Hill.
He's in Silent Hill?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's in the first Silent Hill.
He's the dad. He technically,
and I'm pretty sure he's dead through the whole fucking thing.
All right, hold on. Does
Isn't he?
Bean?
Sean Bean? Isn't he dead through the whole movie?
You know, dude, honestly, I don't remember.
Dude, just go to Google and type in Sean Bean, and all of them is does Sean Bean die in? Does Sean Bean die in?
This was literally the easiest segment to put together because you just type in Sean Bean, it goes, dies in fill-in title.
Oh Jesus!
Or it's like all the info I was looking for was like, how often does, and it's like Sean Bean die in his movies? Like,
oh, I know. Here, let's see here. Oh yeah, there's a pretty big list of people who die all the time in their movies. Let's see here. I'll just go ahead and read it off. John Hurt is number 1, like you said. Or not? He wasn't number 1 in your list. But,
he was.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yep.
Max von Sydow. Christopher Lee.
Okay.
Then Vincent Price. Christopher Plummer. Then Sean Bean at number 6. Gary Busey.
Really?
Yep. Billy.
As he should.
Yeah, Billy Drago. I don't know what he's from. Steve Buscemi.
He must be a random bad guy.
Steve Buscemi. That's a surprise. I can't think of what he dies in.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Does he? No.
They all die, except
they don't all die.
Spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah, they do, except one guy.
From that movie from 1912.
Spoiler alert, Scar kills Mufasa.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Robert De Niro, Bruce Willis, Johnny Depp, Dustin. Okay, now these are just getting... It could be anybody at this point. I'm trying to find out if he dies in Tomb Raider. That's what I really wanted to know.
I think he does, but I could be wrong.
I just typed in, does Sean Bean die in Tomb Raider? And it just gave me a shit ton of articles about the movies Sean Bean's died in. So,
I don't
know. Now we gotta watch it.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
See, I still think we really need to pitch our Sean Bean movie.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll figure. So I guess here's a homework assignment for anybody listening. If you guys out there listening can find out if you feel like watching the old Tomb Raider movie, if you can find out whether or not Sean Bean dies in that one, send us an email.
Does Sean Bean die in Tomb Raider?
Yeah. Oh.
He was in Tomb Raider?
That answers that
the
one.
response I got from
yeah. But
who?
But yeah, if anyone out there knows the answer to that one, get at us on Facebook or send an email to tbdpod or what? I don't fuck. What is our what's our email? Is it podcast or pod? I don't know.
I think it's tbdpod727 at.
I just can't remember if it's pod or podcast. Hold on. We're good at this.
Pod.
Is it just pod? Oh yeah. Nope, it's podcast.
Yeah. Tide Pod.
Oh shit.
Yep. See, we almost fucked up. Tide Pod. Yeah. All right. So again, for the third time here, or fourth, I don't know. I can't count. Can't read, can't count, whatever. If you know the answer to this, if Sean Bean dies in Tomb Raider, get at us on Facebook or send us an email at tbdpodcast727@gmail.com. And if you do that, we will mention your name in the next show, I guess, for a prize. I don't know.
You'll be internet famous.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else to add, Drew?
No, just that.
Are we tired of seeing Sean? Are we tired of seeing Sean Bean die?
No.
He's good at it at this point.
He's so good at it. I mean,
I wonder if
he's typecast as the guy who dies.
I wonder if he's mad that he gets typecast for like death scenes.
Well, Drew did say that up
we
until
got this great role for
recently,
you, and you're going to be really heroic and great.
He's like,
also,
let me guess. He's like, let me guess.
Well, one article I read was he said he's come to the point where he's just kind of accepted it as he's the guy that dies. But
I'm just going to die.
He's trying to get away from being the villain so much now. He wants to play more of the heroic roles.
He should.
So
if I'm going to die a hero.
I think he's a great actor, honestly.
No, I like.
All the writers are going to be trying to hide it from him. Like they're going to be like he's going to be so mad when he finds out.
You're not. No.
No, man.
Here's the first 420 pages of the script.
Am I going to die? No.
Not yet.
Not right away.
Not right now.
Not until you mentioned it.
It's like, well, we all die, Sean, but
everybody dies, Sean. Not every man truly lives.
So with that, we're going to take our second commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to go over our main discussion topic, which is the Star Wars prequels. It's like, do they really suck that bad? All right, we'll be back momentarily. Do you like role-playing games? How about podcasts? How about a podcast about a role-playing game? Check out our friends at Tomorrow's End, a podcast that follows a role-playing group as they navigate through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. All right, enough fucking words. Here's the trailer.
How did humanity get here? I just can't remember. The rest of the world didn't know why the end had come. They'd heard on the radio about an attack on the states by either Russia or China over dwindling resources. What we knew was that the world was going to end, and a crazy man named Morrow had a plan to save the world. Many teams were frozen in vaults deep underground, safely tucked away from all the bombs and nukes flying, and the asteroid that would finally end everything. They were supposed to wake up 25 years later and help pick up the pieces, but something went wrong, and everyone woke up a lot later, if they woke up at all. Cultists, criminals, madmen, they've been living and thriving through the radiation and destruction the entire time. Some good people also survived. They held on to hope by spreading stories about tomorrow's end.
And we're back, and we have a new addition with us. We have Tracy with us. Proto-wife. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about the Star Wars prequels. This is another idea from Captain Diabito Drew here, and I think Drew wants to talk about how much he loves the prequels, because the rest of us,
not all the prequels. I just love episode 1. I will die on that hill.
All right, no, we will. So we're gonna get right into it here. So I guess the looming question is, are the prequels really that bad? So I have a list of questions, and we'll kind of go off of them loosely, but we'll go wherever the conversation takes us. So first question, just so we know who's on what side here, we'll talk about the overall enjoyment. Who here enjoyed the prequels overall?
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
After a while.
Was
it that bad?
Was that a from Tracy?
A bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much everybody. I was going to say who disliked them, but we pretty much all said that overall we enjoyed them. And we'll get into specifics as far as what we didn't like. So second question, those that enjoyed them, why? I don't mean that sarcastically, but like...
No.
All right.
Drew, let's start with you, man.
Okay. I love episode 1.
Okay.
Came out 1999. I was 11, so like I was still a kid, and it just like appealed to me. It was awesome. Had pod racing, which is cool as fuck. It had Darth Maul, who's a red demon with a dual-bladed lightsaber, cool as fuck. It has Liam Neeson, who, now that I'm older, cool as fuck. The starships were all like they're sleek and shiny.
Cool as fuck.
They're all just cool as fuck. Exactly. Okay. Everything was really cool. Boss Nass, when I was a kid, was hilarious. Now that I'm older, not so much. But I mean, like, looking back on them with my rose-colored glasses, like, episode 1 was just great. Episode 2 was kind of a letdown, and then episode 3 was kind of a letdown. But I'm just here to die on the episode 1 hill, man. I loved that movie.
See, okay, so we'll just do this. We'll just go through them one by one here. So episode 1, like, when it came out, I loved it because it was Star Wars, and I had seen all the originals, you know, before that. I loved it because it was Star Wars. I even loved it for what it was back then. I appreciate it now, but I literally just tried to watch it maybe a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this, and I couldn't. So, like I tried, but I couldn't. You know, and it's not even like the story. It's more just the way it was executed. You know, I don't know.
It had some very wooden acting in it. Like,
the execution was just garbage.
It was not. Yeah, it was not the best acted movie, but
no,
it did its job to me when I was a child.
Well, I feel like every incarnation of Anakin was just sort of crap, but
the first one wasn't the worst. I mean, the little kid, he was annoying as all fucking get out, but
oh, dude, Jake
he was a little kid. So
Jake Lloyd is
oh god,
and I don't want Jake Lloyd to ever catch wind of me saying anything bad about him in Star Wars, because that kid is like one bad internet troll comment away from like going all suicide bomber.
He's
somewhere, you know. So,
that being said, the first one was really shiny. Like pretty shiny.
Yeah.
It was full of eye candy and good times and
awesome lightsaber fights.
Oh yeah,
awesome lightsaber fights. Qui-Gon Jinn is like great. I gotta love that.
See, I think that is what really made those movies stand out, is because when you go back and you watch the original trilogy, like the story
takes him 10 freaking minutes to swing a lightsaber.
Well, and I actually read about this somewhere in an interview that Lucas changed the what do you call it? He changed the concept behind the lightsaber from it being more of like a broadsword medieval knights swinging at each other type combat, which it was in the original movies. He changed it to more of like the flourishing fencing and more like katana fighting than it was in the prequels.
I was also under the understanding that the original lightsabers they used in the movie to record with were actually made with like a glass rod.
Yeah, so they couldn't
of some sort to help it illuminate. They couldn't swing them and hit them very hard. Whereas the new ones, they could CGI the blades on, so the actual blade part was made of metal, and they were just wailing on them.
Yeah, they used like wooden dowels and like fiberglass rods and shit like that. Yeah, no, I remember that. But so I think that the prequels introduced some cool new some really stupid concepts to the whole Star Wars canon. And regardless of regardless of what anyone wants to say, George Lucas did it. That shit is canon. Like, I don't understand how people can sit there and try and deny, or petition to have those things removed from canon. It's like, that was the creator. That was like his baby. That's what he chose to do. It's like,
right.
Get over it. But
I mean, why he chose to vomit all over it.
Yeah, I know.
Suddenly this is always what I wanted to do, but really it wasn't. I'm just making shit up as I go.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I guess my biggest issues with the prequels are really the continuity errors.
Oh, between them and the original trilogy? Yeah.
Like, everything suddenly is out of whack because we had to go and make all this stuff different, and now it only makes half sense. It's like trying to follow the Mad Max storyline. It doesn't work.
So I don't even remember episode 2 that well. I remember like flashes.
It was 80% love story.
Oh yeah. That was when he was like the bodyguard to the princess.
There was some cool shit in that one, though.
When he destroys the Tusken
Raider
camp.
There was like some really dragged out parts with him and Padme just sitting around going, "Oh, you're so pretty."
Oh, I hate sand. It's so coarse. Or is that the third one?
No.
Let's make babies.
And it gets everywhere.
That's the second one, right?
Yeah, it is.
The epic sand speech.
Yep. The third one is where he starts murdering children, so that's not that part. So
we'll get
the third
to the
one's
third
all
one.
clones.
Yeah.
Jedi murder.
Yep. But
okay, so the second one is what? Geonosis.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The second one has
Jango Fett.
Big.
They go to Komodo or whatever, and
Yeah.
we haven't watched these in a while, have we?
No.
Yeah.
That one has a lot to do with getting Palpatine elevated.
Yeah. All that.
That's a lot of.
Is 2 the one with Grievous? Is that when he's introduced? General Grievous? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, because isn't that the one where they go to the Geonosis?
Yeah.
And they have the big pit fight and...
Yep. Well, isn't
there's
like
Count
the
Dooku and all that weirdness?
The big starfighter battle in the beginning, or was that the beginning? I don't remember. I remember they fight Grievous like right away in that one, I think. And then they end up going to like Coruscant.
Was that 2 or was it 3?
They always go to Coruscant.
Maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass. I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now.
Maybe you need to have your sit down and watch the 6 again.
Yeah.
I always do that. I start with the first one.
That's what I tried to do, but I couldn't get through the first one. Like, I don't know.
I love the first one.
It wasn't doing it for me. But the first one...
The prequels are great because I can turn my brain off and cruise control through them.
Yeah.
But see, now go back and rewatch the first one, like the first 3. But if you want to keep your brain activated while you're watching them, just think about the Jar Jar Sith Lord theory. That'll make you actually pay attention.
See, we
did
did
because he has yellow eyes.
See, damn you! I blocked that whole fucking character out of my head for this discussion. But yeah,
Well, we're supposed to be talking about what's bad and what's good.
Well, here's the third question. What specifically do you think would have made them better movies, both in the cinematic sense and the Star Wars overall story sense?
No Jar Jar Binks.
Yep.
Steven Spielberg directing.
Okay.
No Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I would take that over Jar Jar, really.
God damn it, they're both just so awful.
I mean, Jar Jar was annoying, but I mean, we've had Ewoks and we've had other weird things. Now we have Porgs, for fuck's sake.
So now we got Porgs. Those are the worst. I hate them.
They Porgs and, well, I guess the Ewoks talked, but they didn't speak a bastardized version
Porgs
of
are kind
English.
of a background.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Jar Jar Binks had a really like stereotypical racist like slang talk going, didn't he? Misa Jar Jar Binks. Like, man, now that I look back on it, like Wow.
Oh.
They should have just like flushed the script down the fucking toilet.
They're like, what the fuck is this creature? Get it out. What are we doing?
I mean, I still like the whole concept of him being the Sith Lord, but being like a drunken master sort of thing.
Well, you know what? You know what was hilarious?
I'm a bumbling
though?
idiot, but I do it on purpose.
What was hilarious was their solution for all the backlash they got over him was to make him a fucking senator.
Right.
It's like, let's just throw him in politics because that makes sense. You know?
Yeah, but see, that actually gave him the most important role of the entire original trilogy.
And it gave you a reason to hate him then.
Right. I mean, the whole pivoting point of the original trilogy landed on Jar Jar's shoulders. Why wouldn't you put a bumbling idiot there to make him do that?
Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
He's the one that gave
Palpatine,
Chancellor Palpatine supreme power.
Really?
He's the one that called for the vote.
What?
In not Amidala's, but whoever the other queen was at the time. He was standing in because he was a senator.
Uh-huh.
And Palpatine was like, well, if only somebody could, put a vote forward to blah, blah, blah. And Jar Jar's like, well, I could do that.
Really?
And boom, Empire.
Shit.
Watch the trilogy again.
Yep.
Jar Jar was the hinge pin of Palpatine becoming Emperor.
Jar Jar created the Galactic Empire.
That's all his fucking...
He really did.
All his fucking...
God. Okay, Tracy, what would you have done to make the movies better?
Erase them and brought in Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's definitely some actors I would replace, starting with Hayden. But I mean, I would definitely keep what is it? The fucking Taken guy. What is his name?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson
Yeah.
and
Ewan McGregor and
yeah, and
I don't know who you are, but I have a specific set of midichlorians.
Well, Natalie Portman wasn't even all that offensive.
No.
Does she?
Yeah, phrasing there. Oops.
She.
See, they should have just made her a little younger. Had Jean Reno in it. And,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love that movie, by the way. But
it's a great movie. Wrong segment.
Yeah. Even Natalie Portman, even in that movie, just wasn't. She wasn't. I don't know. She must have been feeling all the negative vibes from all the other terrible actors in there, because she wasn't.
Yeah, she had kind of a Kristen Stewart thing going on.
Yeah. She's.
Anakin, I'm Natalie Portman.
You're breaking my heart.
I think it was Hayden Christensen's bad acting that just sucked all the good acting out of everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
like I said, every iteration of Anakin.
God.
Kind of awful back then.
Though
Hayden Christensen, a black hole of talent.
It's amazing that we all love Darth Vader as much of a plebe as fucking Anakin was.
Well, okay. Well,
it's because somewhere in between 3 and 4 he becomes
James
a
Earl Jones.
badass. Yeah, he becomes a large black man.
Well, dude, the well, okay.
It must have been Rogue One, because that was a great scene.
Yeah, it
was.
That does bring us to episode 3, because we haven't talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the beginning of episode 3, but I do remember the moments that Hayden Christensen started to become kind of almost respectable in the evil villain, because he was kind of it reminds me of Kylo Ren, which is, I guess, perfect. This angsty person who is really conflicted. I mean, I don't know. I'm really drawing at straws here, but because he didn't do what I'm saying he did that well, but I have to kind of look at beneath the layers of what he was trying to do as opposed to what he actually did with the character. And I think what they wanted to do and what they were trying to do was actually pretty cool and pretty fitting. but it just, like I said, it just none of what
Honestly,
I
the
saw
way
beneath the surface was executed on the surface that well. Like it just wasn't pulled together.
I don't think it panned out quite right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like he flip-flopped or he turned too quickly.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of stuff where he's like, I love the council, and then he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody. And he would just go back and forth so quick. I think there was even a point where his eyes changed color, and then they changed back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh well, I'm not a Sith anymore. I'm gonna have a good time here, and oh look, younglings.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like Tide Pods. You can't eat just one.
Oh God.
Oh.
Did you see the Anakin's killing younglings meme?
Yes.
Like
younglings.
Younglings, like the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting back like drinking a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
Obi-Wan is like, I've seen the hologram. It's Anakin and he killed younglings.
He's killing younglings.
The funniest thing about Hayden Christensen is that I saw him in one movie after Star Wars, and then I never heard from him again.
Yeah. Well,
I can only think of one movie he's been in after Star Wars.
Was like Push or something like that?
I thought it was like Jumper.
No,
or was it Jumper? I knew it was one of those.
Oh, he was he in that?
Chris Evans was in Push.
Jumper's the one where he can like teleport.
Which was a better version of Jumper.
Yeah. Poor Hayden Christensen. It seems like Star Wars has a way of ruining people. At least the prequels, anyway. That character is doomed.
Well, it sure has ruined the Anakins.
Yeah.
I liked that the first 3 movies were supposed to be like his origin story. Like that whole concept, it was really, really cool. Like the bringing to life of Darth Vader, the bringing to life of the whole Skywalker trilogy, that whole universe. I thought that idea was really, really good. I thought some of the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really
9 movies of a giant family squabble.
Yeah,
right.
And not even that, but I liked all the back history with like the Clone Wars and even some of the like the political stuff. You know, kind of just seeing like how does this come about to where all of a sudden you got like a whole galaxy or a whole galactic empire.
I think one of my biggest issues with the original trilogy was the prophecy.
Oh yeah,
and how stupid Jedi could fucking be. Well, he's going to bring balance to the Force. Okay, so there's like 600 Jedi, and you now know of one Sith. So you want him to bring balance, you dumb fuck?
Yeah,
and he does. He brings balance to the Force.
I feel like the whole prophecy, it was like a buzzword. You know, like, oh, it's like we got to throw some more mystical shit in this storyline. So, you know,
we got to compete with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Okay, so next question here. Do you think that people are too harsh on the Star Wars films? All of them, even that.
In general?
Yeah, except the original. Let's say
everybody hard on the original trilogy.
No. All of them. Sorry, I have it in parentheses here. All of them that came after the originals. So everything from everything like from recent? The prequels to the new trilogy to
the new stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yeah.
Too harsh.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
I think we are. Yeah. Because you got
yeah, thanks for including us in that because we are.
Come on, listen to the first segment over again, and then tell us we're not harsh on the fucking new shit.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
No, I mean because it's like that with anything though. When you have multiple segments of a movie thing, like everyone's going to compare it to the first ones, and they're not going to be as good because you look at the first ones through rose-colored glasses. And everything was just hunky dory, and now they're doing all this new shit.
And see, there's all of us that were around for the original trilogy, and then the new trilogy came out, and of course we were all like, blah 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 blah.
That's because you're old.
People, yeah, I was gonna say younger people that started with the prequel trilogy are probably like, hey, this is some pretty cool shit. What's that old dated crap? Oh wait, these new trilogies are nothing like my original 1, 2, and 3. So fuck these movies.
Right.
It's just going to go around in circles.
I have not met anyone, probably because we've all, all my friends have seen him the same way I have, but I have not met anyone who has started with the prequels. like their first experience with Star Wars has been the prequels.
My niece
Somebody out there's got to have had.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, listen to what Drew said, man.
We should run an experiment like with Lauren. Like we need to have Lauren.
I don't think
she hasn't seen any of them.
Yeah, we got to make her watch them from number 1
through
1, 2,
everything.
3,
4, 5, 6.
She can skip the cartoons, but she should do 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'd be interested to see what someone's.
I plan on doing it again soon.
I'd be interested to see what someone's opinion of Star Wars is if they started off that way, like with watching them in, the new order that they have.
In numerical order.
We're gonna make Boots a social experiment.
She's not even here to defend herself.
We got to put her in a white room with a big screen TV.
So now you're going to watch about, I don't know.
You're going to watch
6 to 7 hours of Hayden Christensen.
God, what if she ends up being like?
We'll have to Clockwork Orange her and like pull her eyelids open, give her eye drops.
What if she ends up hating like the original trilogy because she thinks the first 3 are how it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be.
But
weird.
what happens when she gets to 7 and 8?
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like Star Trek. Everything the technology is getting better.
Yeah, I feel like everyone watching Star Wars like from the episode 1 onward now would probably be really confused. I don't know. I would.
Why'd they get so shitty with 4, 5, and 6?
It's like
1, 2, and 3 are older. Why is the technology in 4, 5, and 6 so crap?
Yeah.
Why does Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford look so young in these movies?
Yeah. And how did Obi-Wan age 30 years in not that amount of time? Yeah. That's always a big question.
It's a lot of stress. Stress makes you go gray.
Okay, so we're all pretty much in agreement that people are too harsh on the Star Wars films, right?
Well,
and that the original trilogy is watchable.
Well,
I don't know if I necessarily
not great,
agree.
but watchable.
Well, let's put it this way: what criteria makes a good Star Wars film? Like, that's not one of my original questions, but like, what makes a good Star Wars? Like, what would make a good Star Wars film? Like, what would make us happy? I don't feel like anything would.
Rogue One.
I don't know if you'd ever really like complete that
to
task.
me, I think Rogue One is like a perfect Star Wars movie.
I did like
it's great, and there's not a single
of it.
fucking Jedi in it.
Not till the very last fucking scene. The very last scene is
you
the
finally
only
get some
lightsaber
stuff,
you
but-
see in that whole movie.
See, here's the deal. I'll piggyback off that concept, and I would say that I loved the depth and grittiness of Rogue One, like the scene when they're in the I don't remember what planet they're on, but it's got sand on it, and they are like
Jakku, or not Jakku. Where the hell are they in Rogue One?
The one where they're like the
where
Empire's like mining kyber crystals.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they, then that one the rebel group ambushes the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene was like, oh my god! It's like it felt like Saving Private Ryan, like to me.
Yeah,
like the weight of that scene was like this is.
It was a war movie with the Star Wars theme.
Yeah, and I think if they would carry on with that type of feel, but then add the stuff that people want to see, like the lightsaber duels and everything like that, because even
lightsabers and weird creatures and
Jedi, like people want to see Jedi, and and people want to see lightsabers.
I was actually kind of
shit.
happy to see a Star Wars movie without Jedi. It was kind of cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, but maybe it's just my.
But Star Wars
It's
is.
the
I
Jedi.
mean, that's where Jedi come from.
Yeah.
It's lightsabers and
thing.
Lightsabers and spaceships,
mysticism and
laser fights and
hokey religions.
Yep.
Star Wars is
The
literally
Force.
high fantasy in space.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I wouldn't mind seeing a Knights of the Old Republic, because
Oh,
there
God.
needs to be
I would love that.
more Jedi, more Sith, not just 2 Sith, more Sith.
Yeah. Well, Knights of the Old Republic. The Old Republic is definitely even more fantasy than it is sci-fi. Really, like the elements to it, because that's when they're like establishing.
Kind of, because there was a lot of swords and
they're establishing the Jedi I guess, religion, and the Force and everything like that. Everything was a lot more like mystical and whatnot. I would love to see that. And I think my whole comments about wanting more lightsaber stuff, I think I'm disappointed with the new trilogy and the lack of flourishing lightsaber fights. Like even in the last one, The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
I think we've all seen.
Gives you the feel of 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, like they slowed
because
everything
people
down.
That don't know what the fuck they're doing with lightsabers, and they're just like,
yeah, we had one good lightsaber fight with Rey and Kylo Ren in that one room with Snoke and everything. Like that was it so far. Unless they blow my mind with 9, like I don't know. I'm gonna be kind of disappointed with.
Right. So, is anybody excited about the concept of Rian Johnson doing a side trilogy?
Oh yeah, yep. I don't know if you were here when we talked about that earlier. I guess he's planning on doing a
trilogy that has nothing to do with Skywalkers.
Yep,
it's going to be off in a different corner.
We were talking about that earlier.
We were talked about that earlier, and you missed this part of the nerdy news too.
I did.
Did you hear that the Game of Thrones writers are doing Star Wars trilogy too?
Are they doing a trilogy or are they doing the show?
No, they're not doing a show. They're doing movies, but they're doing a completely new, I'm assuming, trilogy, though they may just make a shit ton of movies, but yep.
So what you're saying is don't get attached to any one character.
Yeah, no, we're trying to imagine, and this is actually the last.
Is Sean being going to be in it?
No, this.
Oh, he could. Oh, he could be a Jedi.
It's nice knowing you, buddy.
We'd all sit with bated breath for the moment that he does die in the movie, though. But this is the last question that we're going to do before we go ahead and wrap things up. Not really prequel related, but along those same lines, like what do you guys hope to see out of the future Star Wars movies? So, well, we can go ahead and start with Ryan. Is it Rian or Ryan Johnson?
Yes. I think it's Ryan.
I don't know. I've heard it.
I don't know.
I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways, but anyway, I'll say Ryan. Let's talk about his, because nothing's really known, but we can only sit here and speculate. Like what you said, Ethan, what are everyone's hopes for something that is not Skywalker related?
Part of what would be nice is to see some possible other Force adepts. Doesn't necessarily even have to be Jedi, although most of the Jedi that would have been around after Order, 88?
66.
There wouldn't be many of them left. They'd be like 300 years old.
You know what I want to see? I want to see gray Jedi.
Yeah, same.
That would be awesome. Are they canon? I don't think they're canon.
See more Mandalorians.
They're not. Oh yeah, more Mandalorians.
Mandalorians would be awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Are there any of those left?
No.
More Rogue One movies.
I want to see a standalone IG-88 movie.
Where you have like a specialized team.
Oh yeah.
That are going around doing little hit missions on the Empire. Or
so
even
what you're saying is you want to see Firefly in the Star Wars universe.
You're goddamn right, I do.
See, okay, hold on. Here's a thought. If there's no Skywalker mentioning in any of this, and they're taking place, like, is the Empire going to even be around in this new stuff?
That's a good point.
You know, because
I would assume everybody felt the strain of the Empire or the First Order, depending on what time frame we put it in.
Yeah.
Because, it was the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
How far into the
But there were also fringe planets, I'm sure. The Outer Rim.
See, I don't know what his intentions are. Like, I know it's to get away from the Skywalkers, but does that mean that they're like in the next couple planets over, or in a new solar system? Or you know what I mean? Like,
you could be in a completely different solar system, and you could still feel the grip of the Empire, but not specifically base the whole story around Darth Vader and Luke, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. It's going to be interesting because I think someone mentioned it earlier, but our minds are so attuned to everything revolving around Rebels versus the Empire, or
right,
the Jedi versus the Sith. Yeah, there could be
people that they've heard of the Empire but never heard of the Rebellion, or they just go about their daily lives.
And this might be cynical of me to say, but I think what we might end up seeing is, to relate this to a different sci-fi series, we might end up seeing something like Prometheus in the Alien series, to where it's very loosely tied into, but still important, but very loosely tied into, where we don't really see many of the elements that we are expecting out of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I have a feeling that's probably what at least the first installation will be. Either that, or they'll go a different route and make it completely shock and awe, but I don't know. Like I said, it's me.
What
being
I read
cynical,
about the Rian Johnson one was that, you know, everybody was excited because they thought maybe he would do Old Republic, but then he's like, nope, I'm going to do it with the current movie set, just nothing to do with the base trilogy.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about the guys from Thrones.
They haven't.
They'd be the perfect ones for Old Republic.
Oh, they would. My God, that would be
to see
the perfect combination right there.
I'd like to see it darker and grittier.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd like to see
the Mandalore Wars. The Mandalore Wars would be beautiful.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is the Mandalore Wars and stuff with the Mandalorians. I'd like to see a really darker Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it needs that.
The enslavement of Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I just really want like an R-rated Star Wars movie. just violent and
lightsabers
gritty.
And boobies. That's all I want.
Oh, dude, lightsaber. Game of Thrones. You know, lightsabers, slinging dicks.
Dick.
Mr. Fucking.
Well, if they're writing it, then you'll probably get that wish.
Hello, Twi'lek titties.
Yeah.
Oh, who doesn't?
We'll have lightsaber fights without lightsabers.
I see your Johnson is as big as mine.
All right. Any last thoughts before we wrap things up, guys?
Twitties.
Yeah. We'll bring it right back around again to the prequels. We'll get back on that for just a second. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just answer the question that we proposed. Are they as bad as everyone makes them out to be?
No. Because they gave us one of the best bad guys in the Star Wars universe, and that's Darth Maul. He's the fucking boss.
Yes.
He got cut the fucking half, and he survived it, and now he has metal legs.
Mm-hmm.
What is all...
See,
it's comic, it's canon, it's real, it's awesome.
Fucking canon, too.
I don't understand all the Darth Maul love.
Oh my God, he's a fucking boss.
Because I was goddamn 11.
I thought he was
looked like the devil.
His fucking brother's name is Savage Opress.
Oh, man.
He's fucking boss as hell, too.
Yeah.
Those guys are motherfucking badasses.
They're so fucking cool.
I love them so much. I love Darth.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much exhausted all we're going to with the prequels. So thanks for sticking around, everybody, and look forward to our next show, which will be released next week. We're going to do 2 back-to-back. Next week we're going to do something completely different than we've ever done.
Something completely different.
More of the same. But
That was Monty Python.
You guys are ruining my outro. But anyway, all right, guys, have a good night.
All right.
Play us out.
Yeah.
Play me out, Johnny.
Sean Bean. Guys so much. We love him though, Sean Bean.
That's fucking funny.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Basement Dwellers Podcast. Join us next time as we talk about cryptocurrency, as well as a new social media network called Steeman.